When you hear the word matriarchy, what pops into your head? For a lot of us, it's a very specific image. But what if that image is, well, wrong? What if the real meaning here isn't just about one gender ruling another, but about a totally different way of looking at society? That's what we're going to dig into.
Right off the bat, let's tackle the big question. Is a matriarchy just patriarchy flipped on its head? You know, a world where women are in charge and men are not? The short answer? Nope, not even close. The long answer? Well, that's where things get really fascinating.
So, okay, to really get this, we have to start with the basics. We need to clear the air a little. Before we can dive into what matriarchy is, we kind of have to get a handle on what it isn't. And that means taking on the biggest misconception first.
Okay, so on paper, the definition seems pretty straightforward, right? A matriarchy is a social system where women, especially mothers, are in positions of power and leadership. But here's the kicker, and this is super important. The real story isn't about who has the power, it's about how that power is used. It's definitely not as simple as just flipping a switch from male rule to female rule. So, if it's not just about who's in charge, how does it all work? Well, a huge part of the answer is found in how power, and especially property, moves from one generation to the next. It's not just about who leads, it's all about the lineage.
And that brings us to this key idea, matrilineal descent. You can think of this as the absolute bedrock of these societies. Seriously, just try to imagine this for a second. Your family name, your social status, your inheritance, everything is passed down through your mother's side. That is a huge shift from the patrilineal systems that most of us are used to.
And this right here? This is basically the economic engine that makes it all run. When all the important stuff, land, property, wealth, gets passed from mother to daughter, it means economic power stays anchored within the female line. This creates a kind of financial security and influence for women that echoes through the generations, and that, in turn, shapes the whole society.
Okay, so we've got power and we've got inheritance. But now, this is where it gets really interesting. Because matriarchal systems aren't just about who's holding the reins, they're about completely redefining what power is. It's a move away from domination and a move towards cooperation.
In this kind of system, the whole idea of power shifts. It's not a top-down pyramid anymore. Instead, it's all about nurturing, building community, and making sure everyone feels connected. Decisions aren't made by one person at the top. It's a group thing. Women often step into roles as spiritual leaders or peacemakers, and the #1 goal is just keeping the community healthy, strong, and together.
And this quote, I think, just hits the nail on the head. The goal isn't for women to rule over men. It's all about balance. It's a model where what everyone brings to the table, regardless of gender, is valued because it's all needed for the community to thrive. It's a massive shift from a mindset of competition to one of cooperation.
Okay, look, this is all really cool from a, historical or anthropological point of view, but you might be thinking, why does this matter to me today? And that's a fair question. The thing is, when we look at these models, they actually give us some pretty powerful ways to think about our own modern conversations around things like gender and equality.
And this is where the data gets really compelling. Research on communities that have these strong matriarchal values shows some pretty incredible results. When you minimize those big power imbalances, you tend to see less gender-based violence. And that intense focus on cooperation, it builds communities that are way stronger and more tightly knit. So, here's the main takeaway, really. By studying these other ways of doing things, we get a whole new set of tools to think about our own world. It challenges us to ask, hey, does it have to be this way? It lets us imagine what a society could look like if it were built on different values, like care and genuine cooperation.
All right, now for a twist you might not have seen coming. This whole conversation, it's not just about women. Turns out, these cooperative systems have some huge implications for men too, and for how we even define masculinity in the first place.
Just look at this contrast, it's pretty stark. On one hand, you've got the more traditional dominance model. It's all about top-down authority, hierarchy, individual achievement. But then you look at the cooperative model and it values things like shared leadership, really listening to people, and emotional intelligence. It completely reframes what strength even means. It's not about having power over people, it's about your ability to connect with people.
So what does that actually look like in the real world? Well, it means men can step into roles that aren't all about being the authority figure. It's about embracing a way of communicating that builds relationships up, not tears them down. It's about understanding that being vulnerable can actually be a sign of strength, and that your real value comes from what you contribute to the whole group, not just how high you can climb the ladder.
Okay, so as we start to wrap this up, there's one really important idea we have to land on. The biggest takeaway from all of this is that it has never, ever been about just flipping the script and reversing the roles.
I mean, this quote just says it perfectly. The true lesson we can take from looking at matriarchy isn't women should be in charge instead of men. The real lesson is about questioning the whole idea of dominance to begin with. It's about trying to build something different, a system that's more fair, more collaborative, and at the end of the day, a lot more human.
So the end game here isn't a power struggle. It's a power shift, a shift away from hierarchy and toward cooperation. It's about trying to build a society where every single person gets a chance to truly contribute and to thrive.
So I'll leave you with this to think about. If we really embrace these ideas, things like nurturing leadership, sharing power, and deep cooperation, what could we build in our own communities, in our own world? What kind of possibilities open up when we stop focusing on climbing a ladder and start, building a circle instead?